And just like that, we are back. It's almost like we never left. It's Shacknews right here at E3 2019, brought to you by HyperX. And we're here at the E3 Esports Zone, brought to you by Sub Nation. I'm once again joined by my lovely co-host, David Craddock. And joining us now is Peter from New Wave Toys. How you doing today, Peter?
I'm doing excellent. How you doing, Blake?
I'm great.
I'm so good, man.
All right.
I'm super great because we basically are spending most of this day nerding out about retro arcade gaming and miniature consoles that I am obsessed with. So this is
Blake, do
fantastic.
you have a quarter on you? I want to play
You
some
know what? I don't
1942.
need a quarter, bro.
Oh, we don't need a quarter.
We don't need quarters. Where we're
excellent.
going, we don't need quarters.
Oh.
Well, you know, you do get little mini tokens. If you
That's
buy
true.
our
Tokens.
machines, they come with little tokens. That I know, and I would have brought some.
Yeah.
Didn't think of it.
That's awesome.
Speaking of tokens, there's stash units in here as well, right? Are these on? I don't know if it's on this model here, but I'm guessing yes.
Yes.
That's true. This is one of the cool. I have a couple of these, and I was like, when I opened
Yeah.
it up, I'm like, oh, this is interesting. I guess this is where I'm gonna hide my micro data when like spies are looking for it. You know, stash
That's
in
right.
there.
So
but
we go all out, and we do it. This is a die-cast metal door, and all the compartments, all the cabinets themselves are actually made out of wood. We go
Change some dip switch settings in there.
We are working on some dip switch settings for our
Nice.
upcoming cabs. We have not done them, and our fans have been a little upset with us, so we did not include that.
It's like the last piece of the puzzle,
Exactly.
right?
It's
That's
the last piece of perfection.
Yeah. But you know, in your defense, I have the two cabinets that you
Got
currently
the
have
Tempest and the Centipede.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
nice.
you do have some good settings. Like you do have like
We do,
decent options
yeah.
for people to really control anything like trackball sensitivity and stuff
Yep.
like that. Like I had to like put mine
Yep.
all the way to like hypersensitive to really
Hypersen-
like
You wanted
yeah.
the precision. You're a precision guy, I can tell.
Yeah.
So get right to
when
the
it-
precision gameplay.
When it comes to video games, I'm very precision.
all right.
The rest of life, I'm kind of missing the mark. But the New Wave Toys, you guys, I consider this almost a little more boutique than a lot
Absolutely.
of the other ones. Like, because you guys are really trying to make like scale replicas that are pretty much 1-to-1 what you would have found originally.
I mean, that's definitely the idea with our machines. I mean, you just had Mario Arcade up here a minute ago, and we like the stuff that they do. That's really cool. Anybody in the retro space, but there's definitely sort of stair steps of price points and feature sets. Ours is obviously more on the higher end collectible side. We we produce them. We try to stay true to the original silhouettes of each of the cabinets. Again, we try to use the original materials as much as possible. MDF wood and die-cast metal, and we're running the original arcade ROMs. Probably the signature difference between our cabs and some of the others is that we recreate the control panels in the miniature style rather than just putting a D-pad or something like that.
Yeah,
to your point, you mentioned the trackball and the Centipede.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys actually put some time and effort into really like, I was talking with one of your associates the other day, and you guys will go and you'll play the games, and you'll like see how your games feel compared to those cabinets.
Definitely, yeah. No, that's been an important part to recreate it. I mean, we do our best. It's 1/6 scale. I mean, it's anything that was 6 feet tall is now a foot. It's applying to all of the controls as well. For the most part, we had to cheat a little bit with some things, but like the dial on Tempest, right? So we knew that we wanted to give. I mean, the way we always talk about these machines is that they're sort of 50% for play and 50% for display. So in the case of like the Tempest, right, the way we handled that was we knew that you needed a little bit bigger dial to play with, or it was not going to be very comfortable to play with. A 1/6 scale dial is absurdly small, right? It's the size of this button.
Yeah. If that trackball was to scale.
Right.
Yeah.
So what we did in the case of the Tempest is we actually gave you 2 dials, so you could. When you just wanted to put it on display, you put the little 1/6 scale dial on, and then you could take that off and put on a larger one for gameplay.
Yeah. Now, the other thing is these are once you're done, you're done, right? You guys don't have plans to reprint or like redistribute any of these things once the initial batches are made. Usually, is that correct?
Sorry, what are you saying?
Like, no. So like the.
I couldn't quite hear you. There's like a
It's
lot
like
of
once you,
I don't know
yeah,
why you
once
couldn't
you
hear.
guys
It's such a
sell out, you
quiet,
sell out,
private
right?
setting.
Environment is so
Yeah.
transcendent.
Yeah, no worries. But yeah, once you've sold out of a product, it's gone,
yeah,
right?
I thought that's what you're. Yeah, we're doing limited editions of each of them. So we produced for our Centipede and our Tempest, we made 5,000 of each of them, and that was the cap it there. We won't ever make any more. If somebody came back and wanted to do something, we would do a variation, but a significant variation. Again, for the collector, we want to make sure that they're getting something that has longevity and value in it.
Yeah, just speaking to your detail, the one thing that I really loved is when you power it on for the first time and the marquee lights up.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, nobody thought about that. No one else has thought about that, and it's such a little nuanced thing, and I love it.
And you're right, it's a turn on when you see it come on. It's really awesome.
So I was kind of curious.
Yeah.
I know you touched on this a bit earlier. Maybe it was an adjacent topic, but what goes into selecting which games to kind of recreate? Do you guys have a wish list, or is it kind of a case-by-case basis?
We have an ongoing dialogue with our fans, and the great thing about retro gaming, and you guys are into it as well,
oh, yeah.
is that everybody's got an opinion, and everybody lets you know what they want to see next. And we're very cognizant of what people like to see. So coming up next, I brought these two. These are actually a little forward-looking. This is for 2020. This is the back half of this year. Dragon's Lair will be our next Kickstarter we'll do with Asteroids together. But
that's a great show. You don't see a lot of Dragon's Lair.
You don't see a lot of Dragon's Lair. We're seeing that our sweet spot with our fans is not only ones that play well, that people love as games, but that have a great-looking cabinet and are going to look good on display.
Well, I noticed that these are both from the golden age of arcades.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, one of the things I saw over at your booth that you didn't bring that blew my mind was I saw you had little change machine replicas, and then you're like, oh yeah, you flip these behind them. You got the USB ports to charge all of these cabinets.
Yeah.
So you can actually not, and this is actually something that I was having trouble figuring out how I was going to solve that problem for my own display with all my action figures and dolls.
Well,
and put my little ponies, Yeah,
there's a couple things about that. One is, as I said, it's 50% play, 50% display. That's how I think about it. But they look great when they're plugged in. These are running on lithium-ion batteries. They're good for a couple hours of gameplay. But you're right, you want to display them, and you want them to be on. And I was having the same problem where I was hooking up a bunch of them, and the off-the-shelf ones, if they have 8 in them, the max amperage would be 8 amps. These really want 2 to get fully charged and to keep going. So as soon as you plug in too many, it actually steps down the amount of amperage that's coming out.
Yeah.
That's the way they're designed. So ours will not do that.
Well, I've got some good news for you.
Okay.
I loved your change machine so much.
Yes.
That I convinced my boss to let me give you guys the best innovation of E3 2019 award.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you guys blew my mind. It's so brilliant. It's so cool.
That's so exciting, man. Thank you so much.
I'm going to sneak over to your booth and steal it when you're not looking.
I would have brought it, but we're using it.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't think I can wait. I don't think I can wait that long for it to come out. That's my problem.
Do you want to see something very sad? I don't know if I can show this to you or not, but
all right.
2 days before the show, I had that hand-built prototype, and I was going to take all the photography for the armored company, and so I go to carry it over to my studio, and the power cord hooks on my edge of my desk. The thing pops up and drops straight down onto the ground and explodes into 20 pieces.
But obviously that will not happen with the final version. But the prototypes are a little sensitive.
Is the prototype, the hand-built prototype that came apart in pieces.
All right. Well,
but it will not happen in the final one, obviously.
Yes.
Well,
that's why I won't talk about it. But
we'll take a look.
It was a moment.
We'll take a look at the photo afterwards. But right now, I'm afraid we have to wrap things up.
Great.
Where can people find out more about New Wave Toys and your Replicade product lines?
NewWaveToys.com is the spot, and thank you very much, man. This is super, super exciting. The whole team's going to be really thrilled.
We're more than happy to give it to you guys.
Thanks, you guys.
That's such a brilliant way to cover up something that is normally just a gross mess of cables. Speaking of gross messes of cables, we will be right back. That's all I got. That's not a great transition. But it's the last day.
It's a day 3 throw.
I'm running on fumes here. We'll be right back.